Call the January 27th meeting of the Emmitsburg Planning Commission meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Welcome, everybody. Do we have anybody sign up for public comment? Just out of curiosity. Okay. All right. We want to start with the reorganization, 2025 reorganization. Okay. So we'll need to vote for chairperson, folks. We'll need to vote for a chairperson for the next year, 2025.
You have to nominate someone first.
Correct. We'll have to nominate somebody for chairperson.
You have an interest in serving again?
I mean, I will serve again, yes.
Sometimes that's enough. Okay. So I make a motion to nominate Patricia Galloway as chairperson of the Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Vice chairperson.
I'll nominate Mr. O'Donnell.
Commissioner O'Donnell. I will second the nomination.
I can't second it.
I second it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll abstain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for secretary, Dan, do you
I'll keep on if you would.
you're good with keeping on it?
Yeah.
So I nominate Dan Garnitz to serve as secretary of the Planning Commission.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 2025 reorganization complete.
Great.
All right. We'll review and approval of the minutes. Does anybody have comments on the minutes from our last meeting?
Not much to them.
Mm-mm.
Make a motion, we accept them as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Minutes are approved. Moving along, no public comment, right? Okay.
Now the tough part.
The comprehensive plan update. Ms. Sheila.
Okay, so I know most of you have seen most of this plan, but I would still like to go over what's in this document, especially for Commissioner O'Donnell since he's seeing it for the first time. So what you have in front of you, and then I can go over the major changes from our last meeting if needed. So I'll go chapter by chapter and feel free to let me know if you have any questions. So we have the current draft of the 2025 comprehensive plan, and there are 10 chapters that discuss topics such as population, housing, economy, natural resources, land use, transportation, community facilities, and municipal growth. And so there's an introductory chapter, and then there's an implementation chapter that's in working process. So all these topics, they aim to coincide with the 12 planning visions, which reflect the Maryland's aspiration to develop and implement sound through growth and development policy. So this vision that Maryland has, it has 12 points that are supposed to be included in the comprehensive plan. So those points are quality of life and sustainability, public participation, growth areas, community design, infrastructure, transportation, housing, economic development, environmental protection, resource conservation, stewardship, and implementation approaches. And for chapter 1, like we added these and after introducing the plan, there's a section that says Maryland 12 vision, planning vision, and it lists all the visions and kind of puts a statement to demonstrate that this plan does intend to follow that vision. So, so that's chapter 1, blueprint for the future. And then we got the second chapter, which is all about community input. So all the surveys and workshops that were conducted in October 2023 and January 2024 and March 2024, and surveys that were distributed focusing on the 3 pillars of sustainability to ensure a well-rounded approach. And based on that input, there were some key themes that were identified, which were categorized into economic development, community development, and environmental sustainability to help structure these insights. And then this second chapter also includes vision statements to help build a framework for the future planning. So that's chapter 2. After that, we have chapter 3, which is called the population and housing chapter. And it includes historical population trends from 1960 to 2020, 2020, to show the fluctuations linked with 2 factors such as infrastructure development and economic opportunities. It talks about, how the town showed a decline during the last census period and how it has been influenced by economic opportunities or even COVID-19. It talks about gender and age distribution, housing composition, housing affordability using the area median income for the county. And the chapter also includes goals, objectives, strategies, which have been sort of reformatted from the last time we met to avoid repetitive language. So that's chapter 3. And then chapter 4 talks about the economy. And it focuses on the town's economic structure and employment landscape, income levels, and fiscal health of the town. Tries to provide an analysis of current business and environment, workforce trends, and the town's reliance on residential property taxes. And it outlines challenges related to job availability, economic diversification, and economic inequality. It particularly mentions ALICE, or asset limited income constrained employed households. And it talks about opportunities for revitalization through programs such as the Main Street Initiative. And then we have chapter 5, which focuses on the natural environment, highlighting the town's geographic features, water resources, environmental corridors, and the impact of climate change. And then the chapter aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of how Emmitsburg's environmental assets influence development and outlines strategies to balance growth and environmental stewardship. Chapter 6 focuses on the town's land use patterns and community design strategies to guide the future development while preserving its historic charm. The chapter examines existing zoning regulations, growth boundaries, and design elements that contribute to the town's unique character. And it also talks about the growth area and the growth boundary area and growth opportunity area. Those are the places where the town can annex if they're within the growth boundary. So like that's something that needs to be coordinated with the county. Then we have chapter 7, which is on transportation. It kind of highlights the existing conditions and challenges and provides some future strategies. It talks about different modes and infrastructure limitations a little bit and proposes improvements to enhance connectivity and mobility for residents. Chapter 8 talks about community facilities. Right, yeah, that's, yeah, and community facilities that contribute to the town's social, economic, and cultural well-being. And kind of evaluates these services to see if they're efficiently allocated and what can be done to improve current needs and future demands. And then the town's anticipated growth and any corresponding demands on infrastructure about public services and land use planning. They are outlined in Chapter 9, Municipal Growth. It provides an analysis of population trends, zoning density projections, and the potential impacts of growth on essential services such as water, sewer, schools, and parks. And then we have Chapter 10, which focuses on translating these comprehensive plans goals that are mentioned in Chapter 3 to Chapter 9 into actionable steps. So those are the 10 chapters. And since the last time we met, the biggest changes that were made were the addition of Chapter 1 and Chapter 10, the reformatting of goals and objectives and strategies for sections chapters 3 through 9. There was that addition of a section called housing affordability in Chapter 3, and an addition of a section involving climate change in Chapter 5. There's an addition of a section on historic preservation and Main Street development. And some of the comments from the last meeting regarding municipal growth chapter were addressed. So those are the main changes. And for tonight's meeting, if the Planning Commission can provide comments on the content of the plan, that'd be great. And this plan will be presented to the board on the 3rd. Just another presentation. It's not going to be adopted or anything like that. It still needs to be sent to the county and the state to kind of review it before adoption.
So the board will review this version on February 3rd?
Yes, they'll get a copy of it and they'll get a presentation of it, but
Okay,
that's if they have comments, and that's just so they're in the loop.
right. The planning commission does not need to adopt or anything to that effect, right? In order for it to go to the board. We're just commenting and making changes before it gets there, right?
Right, yeah.
All right. So I would say the largest, most significant changes would be what goals and implementations added to each chapter. Should we start chapter 3, population and housing, and just discuss goals and implementation and go forward through the chapters like that? Is everybody comfortable with the content in population and housing? The graphs, the layout, I know we've discussed that at previous planning commission meetings. Does everybody think that this is easy to read and understandable?
Yeah,
The structure is very solid. I know we're using a template for that, it seems, but for accessibility, I don't know if we want to go with a larger font, quite literally, to be more inclusive to those who read, given we have an older population. There might be value in that. I would think we would defer to, like, well, you can read it online, but our older community doesn't necessarily know how to work the computer to enlarge the screen necessarily. I know most do, but just regarding formatting, is that what you're asking, strictly formatting? Like,
Yeah.
just that would be maybe something that would be advantageous.
Mhm.
Beyond that, I think there's there's solid clarity here. I mean, underlining bullet points, if more could be done with more, list headings or things like that, or bullet point headings, like for the collective line, maybe that would enhance it.
Mhm,
But at the same time, you don't want to over clutter it, so it's too much.
right.
So
And Sheila, this will be in color as well too, right?
Yes.
Will be putting color,
Sorry?
the color on some of the charts.
Yeah, they'll be in color. The color printer wasn't working when I was sending these out, so I know they were a day late, so my apologies for not getting you colored copies.
I got a question on the page 3.5. You have female and male. Now, down below, it's the opposite way. Is that the way is a set procedure that you gotta have it that way, or? In other words, at the top, you're saying female, male, but down below, everything's in reverse. You got male first and female second.
3.5?
Yes. Percentage of population.
What are you seeing that? I see female and male.
The legend at the
Yeah,
top.
but this down here is the opposite way. You see male first and then female. Up at top, it's listed female first and then male.
Oh, yeah, I know we've addressed that before. Excel doesn't let you
There.
switch that out.
See, there's female, male. This is male and female. It's the opposite. Is that the way you normally do it, or?
The computer did it this way. I can Photoshop it to change it out if needed.
so you're asking to get the key modified?
Oh,
Sure. I think that's,
I mean, someone looking at it would be confused, maybe. I'm not, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
So that can be changed.
I think color would make it a little bit easier to.
And it's going to be in color, then you say.
Yeah.
Okay. See. Another comment on 3.8, you've got housing occupancy for 2010 and 2000. You got the amount, but you didn't, is it possible you could put a percent of the whole beside each one of those numbers in brackets? Are you following me, or?
On 3.8.
Yes, at the top, you got the
Okay.
diagrams,
Yeah, I can add percentage to that.
a percentage. And the next page, the same way, there's no percentages at all. You don't know what it is. Okay, that's all I see in 3. That's what we're working on, right?
Mhm.
It's just helpful to people looking through it.
Color would help that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, the color would really dress it up. When you go down to 4.2, you got the percentage in there. That's nice. What's that?
Want to do a chapter to chapter, hang on.
Is that what you got for 3, Dale?
That's all I have, yeah.
Okay.
You got something else? Anybody,
Dan? Okay.
anybody got anything else?
So when we're looking at goals and objectives of 3, does everybody feel like this encompasses housing in Emmitsburg? Accommodate the population's needs by offering diverse housing options that support an intergenerational community, catering to residents of all ages, groups, and income levels. That's number 1. Develop a robust, comprehensive land use program that promotes infill development, diverse housing options, and varying densities while preserving the town's unique character. And 3, implement programs and policies to eliminate vacant and blighted buildings that can potentially be transformed into safe, livable housing units. Three, 10, and 11.
Question for the planner. So when we're encouraging infill. Also want to encourage the board. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. When we're encouraging infill, do we also want to put any language here regarding considering for the board perhaps to consider creating incentives? Or is that something that's too far for the, is that too far reaching for a comprehensive plan suggestion?
If you'd like to add that language, I can do that. It's
That's
a
not
comprehensive
overreach on
plan.
our part or on my part. I mean, I just want to make sure I'm within bounds. So if we could, yes, I would like that. But if it's beyond our bailiwick, I would personally hold off on it if you wanted.
I think it could be added to under strategies.
Okay.
Yeah, and this plan is supposed to be comprehensive, so we can get as far as, so,
It's a good point.
yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Do you have any feelings about the goals? Do you think that encompasses
Sounds good.
3?
Just so I know for sure, it's, you want to add language for infill development or incentivizing infill development.
Encouraging infill. Let me get to the.
Uh, 311 Mhm.
And
at the very top, number 2.
okay,
What would be the incentive?
so say again.
What would be the incentive?
It could be an initial.
Commissioner,
Sorry. Better? Okay, thank you. It could be something, a monetary break. For example, like I don't want to play with the water or sewer, but some communities give a break on the connection fee. There could be a break that's given to any of the fees for construction or permitting. Or there could be, for example, no money, but fast tracking it. Because if you expedite the process, you save money for the developer and the builder. So
So you want to word it that an incentive could be possibility of something?
sure, yes, definitely. Does that stand, does staff have, I'm sorry, do you mind if I'm asking this question? Okay.
No,
Do you feel you have enough direction in the remarks that you could
yeah,
come forward with something that aligns with that?
yeah,
or would
Okay,
that
thank
be a strategy?
yeah, it's a strategy, that's what I
Okay.
was.
So if we were promoting infill development and then coming down into strategies, it would be like number 9,
Perfect.
incentivizing infill.
So it'd been another item added
Mhm.
for strategy.
When we talk about the spectrum of housing and having a range of housing, especially intergenerational, which to me seems like larger housing, do you think that this chapter have we encompassed all of like the possibilities? Because I feel like we focus more on like the lower end of things and more affordable housing, but have we like, neighborhoods with larger square footage and larger land? Is that something like, do we have a spectrum, or I don't know, do we promote that type of development here?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I understand you.
So instead of, not instead of, in addition to,
Mm,
infill development, which is smaller, housing affordability, which we would like, bringing costs down so that folks can easily afford housing, rooms to rent, apartments, just different spectrums. I feel like we focus more on accommodating the Alice population
mm,
instead of the entire range of population and promoting larger building with more space here. but I don't know how Emmitsburg or the town in general feels as a whole with promoting the entire spectrum. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Because we don't
Um,
really talk about that in the housing chapter. It's more about the affordability of housing instead of just the growth overall, you know?
we can add language regarding like the entire range. Mm. If you could outline the contents of it.
Yeah.
So would we want to encourage a builder to include, for example, um, like mobility accommodating, like flooring, like for example, no thresholds, no physical thresholds, but at grade access,
Mhm.
or
There would be that, or your zoning, we already have zoning for larger lots
sure,
that require more acreage, things like that. It's, you know, anywhere from your $50,000 house to your $2 million
right,
house.
right, right.
Emmitsburg, you know, encompasses all of that type of thing.
Okay.
So here's a catch 22 on that, and I'm for it.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, but something that we have to be mindful of is if you have a house on a larger property, you can have a detached garage with a granny flat above.
Mhm.
And
ADU.
right, and that would be, you know, a really useful thing downside. Who are your tenants likely going to be? If it's not an elder adult, it's going to be a young person from the university.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but it's an income stream for that household. So maybe even a more modest house could benefit from something like that, where you have the opportunity where one already has a garage where they might have a smaller home with a garage option,
Mhm.
like new build and new construction. And you could do it in that, right? The accessory apartment. So are you asking that we include that? Because I think there'd be wisdom to that. I like that idea. But is the goal to encourage builders to do that, or to add flexibility to zoning, or both?
I don't know that it's really anything. I think it's more of just to encompass the entire spectrum
Okay,
instead of being focused on just the affordability piece. I don't
right.
know
No,
if
I'm
that
with you.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, we give a lot of attention to this community and this
Because
demographic.
affordability is such a problem. Like that's,
Right.
it's a glaring issue.
Yeah, no, okay.
Let's look at the strategies associated with these goals. Launch public awareness campaign, educate residents and stakeholders on the benefits of diverse housing, emphasizing its role in fostering resilient, inclusive, and connected communities. Partner with community organizations. Collaborate with local groups to identify and address the specific housing needs of various demographic groups such as seniors, young families, students, and low-income residents. Revise zoning regulations, update zoning policies to allow for greater housing diversity, including higher density options and accessory dwelling units, ADUs, to accommodate a broader range of housing types, prioritize redevelopment of underutilized parcels, identify and focus on redeveloping underutilized properties, particularly in areas with existing infrastructure to optimize land use, establish a vacant property registry, create a registry to monitor vacant and blighted properties, ensuring they are tracked and prioritized for redevelopment opportunities. Implement design review guidelines, introduce a design review process to ensure new developments align with the community's aesthetic and historical character, maintaining compatibility with town's identity, collaborate on rehabilitation grants, work with property owners to secure grants for rehabilitating and repurposing vacant buildings into housing units, contributing to the community's housing stock, strengthen code enforcement, launch code enforcement initiative to address neglected properties using penalties to encourage property owners to rehabilitate blighted buildings. And then 9 would be incentivizing infill. Number 8, I see a potential problem with code enforcement initiative using penalties to encourage property owners to rehabilitate blighted buildings. I feel like the building is blighted because the property owner does not have the resources to keep it in good condition. So I don't know that penalties, whether financial or otherwise, are going to do anything to encourage somebody to make it better. In some instances not. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It'll just be like an overburdening thing.
Right.
Yeah, if you want, you can eliminate that or reward it or make it less stringent.
I think there's probably value to it in some instances where
Mhm.
folks just don't want to invest in the property because
Mhm.
it doesn't, the return on investment is not ideal for them. And I think there are some instances where probably the property owner is unable to.
Mhm.
So maybe it's a case by case thing,
Okay.
where we need to know more of the situation and then decide how to enforce code.
What if you put the word notices in their place of penalties? If possible, more follow up later or something.
Yeah. Using notices and
penalties.
penalties.
Which could incur penalties if not some action is taken.
Mhm.
So in our code, we do have this. It does exist. You do have people who don't have the means. You do have people who willfully neglect their property.
Mhm.
So there's a spectrum of causes for this.
Yeah.
But so long as we have the carrot and the stick, I think we're okay. Something that we've done for individuals who are struggling with their water, sewer, and trash bill
Mhm.
is we identify resources for them in the community where they can go to get the fiscal gap
Okay.
filled. So maybe if we do a brochure or something like that to
Mhm.
identify, hey, if you're not able, here's an option for you. If you
Right.
are able, then, town code says X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So you give them sort of a soft landing, but you put them into a track
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
they're guided to
Yes.
get to that bottom line.
Yeah.
An add-on to that, and this is an MML thing. The town might consider budgeting funds to address blighted and abandoned property. So there's an actual fund that addresses it. So should the town have a need to purchase the property or outright force its, foreclosure or whatever it needs to do, like the legal crowbars it would need funds to do that. And
Mhm.
instead of looking at that as an emergency event for funding, it might be valuable to create a fund just to have that as a reserve. The model that was used and I'm aware of is Cumberland, Maryland did this, and they had a lot of success with abandoned properties. The thing that makes our Main Street very unique and our town unique is Main Street especially, it's a living Main Street. I mean, we have a lot of households there as well as retail storefronts. A lot of communities don't have that blend. We're pretty fortunate in that respect in some ways. But by the same token, we've seen the abandoned property at the east end of Main Street opposite the ice cream truck shop.
Mhm.
So maybe this will give town more leverage to get the outcome of addressing blighted and abandoned properties. So just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the idea of putting someone on a track that may not have the means that will help them identify the means to help themselves. Yeah. And that will also identify if you do have the means to help yourself already and you just don't want to, which is a different thing. Understood. Does anybody else housing?
Well, I want to follow this a little bit since we've jumped on this bandwagon, which I've been one of my gripes since I moved to this bloody town. Two major properties on Main Street that come to mind real quick. what are we gonna do with these people who literally don't really give a crap what we do? And it's gonna keep vacant. They're not gonna take care of them properly. We have people that, have had made offers on the property, people who have to rent these buildings, assuming they're in meet code requirements and so forth. And the owners just say, yeah, I'm saying the apartments above are covering what I need right now. So
Mhm.
the hell with it.
I think that is that covered by these strategies in housing?
It's partially, but it sounds more like it's aimed at owners who are financially running into issues,
Yeah.
which is what we see a lot of, unfortunately.
Well, code enforcement, if the buildings are out of code, then
Well, we get the issue that we've had, like with the Hobbs house, where it's, the kids still own it, but and we've sent a inspector out, and it's, still, aside from the outbuildings, it's still stable.
Mhm.
So it looks like crap.
Okay.
But that's just because they didn't want anything to do with it. And they just, they haven't responded, as far as I'm aware of, to the city in any way. So, well, sorry, telling us what anything about it. I know they've been served letters and so forth. And
Mhm. I'm just reading these really quick.
it's a balancing act here.
Right. Because just because you don't like the way something looks doesn't necessarily mean, you can take it from somebody and do.
Well, as we said, we tried to do it with the Hobbs house, and the inspectors, they said it's stable,
Mhm.
and under law, as long as it's stable, not falling down, we're stuck having it sit there. Unless the town, tells them to sell it off or something, whatever.
So is that more of an incentive, some sort of incentivizing of the ownership to allow?
I don't know how you can force it, because if my problem is, I'm not sure how it works, because if they're paying the taxes on the property,
Mm-hmm.
and most of these homes, these properties, at least the 3 or 4 big ones that I know about, their taxes are all current,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and they're habitable.
They're habitable.
Well, one of them has code violations in them that I'm
Okay.
aware of. Though he's not going to bother fixing the code violations, because his apartments above that are covering everything for him. His other property is just as bad, only at least it's all occupied.
Right.
So the town does have mechanisms like the liens you're talking about and the code failures. So that documentation creates the paper trail to ultimately foreclose on the property or to condemn the property or whatever, wherever it ends. But in the meantime, there's sort of a soft side to leadership where, perhaps the mayor could be encouraged or a town commissioner could be encouraged to visit with the property owner and just do a polite, hey, is there something we could do to help? Like, is there a gap there? And there's the front of the house and the back of the house. And like figuratively speaking, in the front of the house is the formal process. The back of the house is like the conversation and the person-to-person contact. So I think the process exists. So I think we're okay. We're covered there.
But it's not using it.
No, I think we are, but it's a lengthy process because the law favors property ownership and property owners, as it should. But at the same time, it's a gateway to the community. There's my favorite word.
Yeah.
And when visitors drive into town or someone that's prospecting for a business location, that's something they see. And
I
it
dealt
harms
with one
us.
of these owners myself,
Mhm,
trying to rent their property. And the wife was for it, the husband wasn't.
mhm,
So they didn't do it. And it probably still said it's vacant.
mm.
And a lot of this owner particularly is not a town resident. They live out in PA.
Right.
I think Cobb's daughter lives in PA too, if memory serves. But I think there's a whole lot of gray area in there that we need to work through.
Yeah, I think, well, the process exists and the paper trail exists. So, it's not an overnight type of thing. I would say these strategies in the comprehensive plan, I feel like they fully encompass all things that would have to do with beautifying Main Street in one way or another, whether it's code enforcement or code initiatives or incentives. I feel like it runs the entire gamut of how to make our Main Street enticing to people, even if it's not an immediate type of thing.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Housing. Okay. All right. 4. Economic and fiscal health. Do we have any comments in the body of the chapter? First, anybody?
So on page 4, page 4 of chapter 4, we give a great deal of attention to the Alice component, which I think is appropriate. And it's good to see it because I think this is the best I've seen it fleshed out in our comprehensive plans thus far. There is 1 or 2 mitigating factors that I don't know if we need to consider putting them in this, because one of the things that we had done with the daughter's facility to keep it vibrant and viable was to allow, at that time, Homes for America, which has evolved into something else, to establish very high quality, not low income housing, but lower income, like some,
It's
balance
subsidized.
there. Subsidized housing. Okay. All right. Perfect word choice. Because you can tell I'm rusty. Thank you. So the subsidized housing piece, and it's beautiful and brilliant, but our residents, some of them, many of them are on a fixed income. And as a result of that, they would qualify as an Alice household. But maybe it's appropriate if it's not mentioned already, and I didn't see it, so forgive me if it's there, but maybe we acknowledge that we have this subsidized housing in town as part of an adaptive reuse of an existing structure. So, on the one side, we're addressing the reality of it, and the other side, we're acknowledging this is really an accomplishment as opposed to this is like a blight or a negative. So I think people put that connotation to Alice as very negative. And it's a problem that we have to solve, as a community. But at the same time, there is some affordable housing, and it's there, and it's done, at a premium. It's done beautifully. So maybe if we acknowledge that, I'm not belaboring this too much, forgive me. That was one for 4.4. The other part is for households that have challenged incomes. Is it here that we want to mention that the resources also exist in the community to address some of that? So for example, you have the Seton Center and its multitude of services. And you have, what's our other one? The Senior Center downstairs. And I'm sure there are others that I can't recall right now. I'm a little rusty again, so forgive me. But do we want to include that there are also some supports for these? I don't want to, paint over anything that's, I'm not trying to make negative positive. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say we do have some resources in place in the community that address these things, perhaps. And then maybe we could talk about the fail of DePaul Street. So the housing worked very well, and then it didn't work well, and it's working well again. So
That Seton Village, that's where we are occupying, Dan and myself. And that's subsidized through the federal government. And
Is age restricted?
Mhm.
Yes, one has to be 62 or older.
I'm working on it.
Everybody is, I believe. And the other thing is the one department, one apartment, one bedroom apartment is treated one way and two bedroom apartments treated another way or under different programs.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but that's the way it is.
It's because of the way HUD structures it.
Funding.
And it's through Humphrey Management out of Columbia, Maryland.
And then the apartment complex behind the pool is also,
Yes,
Age
that's,
Owned by the same people.
Oh,
but it's-
Lincoln Avenue, Lincoln on the Park.
yep.
yep, it's
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
run by the same management team and maintenance crew. They're at our place 3 days a week and 2 days over there,
Property management.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for us.
Yeah. Is the reference to these community, to these housing initiatives in chapter 6? No, sorry, chapter 8 with our community facilities? Is it added to that?
The Seton Center, for example, yeah, it is
Is
added
in,
there,
yeah,
yeah.
the Seton
Okay.
Center is listed. Are the subsidized housing,
I don't think,
should they be listed? That's the question. In community facilities versus,
So you're trying to figure out where they should be located. huh?
yeah, versus the economic and fiscal health. Chapter 8 versus chapter 4.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I'm sorry that I missed the Seton Center piece.
Well, that was brought up in the meetings before.
Yeah, I saw something, I'm drawing a blank where I saw it.
But sure, I think for housing, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the
As
idea that
a-
we're
Yeah, community
Facility.
as part of
facilities,
that, the spectrum of house, of meeting
No,
housing needs for the community.
education institutions.
Like in my mind, and I'm
There's
very
something missing
Pollyanna.
there.
My thinking is, I feel it's important that it gets acknowledged because it does show there's an effort made by the community. We have an awareness and we've taken action.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
our action has been, for the most part, successful, not
Mhm.
100% successful. So if someone comes forward in the future and says, hey, we want to do more of this, then we see that this isn't our first rodeo.
Mhm.
So,
No, I agree. I think that's a good point.
There's definitely a demand for it because they got a waiting list a mile long.
It's years,
sure.
yeah, because my mom was on the waiting list for a long time.
Oh,
hmm
who's your mother?
Her name is Laura Galloway. She doesn't live there now.
Oh,
Yeah.
no comment.
All right. Let's see, goals and objectives. Strengthen Emmitsburg's local economy and business environment, improve local employment opportunities and workforce development, address income inequality and support ALICE, asset limited, income constrained employed households.
Page number, sorry.
4-7, sorry.
47. Nope, no problem. Got it.
do we make it clear on that? We should include both Seton Village and on the park? Because we got them both. They're run by the same outfit.
right. Okay, we can clarify that.
They're
Where would
both
you-
same requirements.
Do we need to mention like names, or do we just need to mention that there are housing opportunities in place, like, let's say, there's been an effort made to address the needs for this community.
Yeah, I think it would be worthwhile to add the names as well, just so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that answer your question then, what you were asking a moment ago? Okay, great.
just so you know, where would you like this information exactly?
Do we want this in chapter 4 or chapter 8? Economy and fiscal health or community facilities? Community facilities talks about all of our schools, the Seton Center, Catoctin Pregnancy Center, food bank. civic spaces.
I was actually thinking 3 because of housing.
You were thinking 3.
Yeah.
Probably the right, there's them with housing, affordability and so forth.
Yeah, whatever the group thinks makes the most sense. 3, 4, or 8, or more than 1. It could be
Right. Okay, so 3 and 8. I
3
would
and
say
8.
for housing and for
Yeah,
community resources is defining them.
okay.
Yeah, population and housing.
Sense.
Okay.
All right, strategies for goals and objectives
On
in chapter 4.
4-7.
4-7. Support small businesses, facilitate access to funding opportunities for small businesses to help them establish and grow within the town, promote shop local initiatives through targeted campaigns that highlight the benefits of supporting local businesses, create a loyalty program offering rewards for purchases at Emmitsburg businesses, and organize community events and markets that encourage residents to shop and dine local. Leverage tourism, continue to promote existing tourist attractions through regional marketing efforts and partnerships, enhance infrastructure, continue to use available grants to fund sidewalk and parking improvements in the downtown area to attract both visitors and businesses, identify opportunities to renovate, repurpose underutilized buildings, transforming them into spaces for new businesses. Implement a Main Street improvement program that restores historic buildings, revitalizes public spaces and pedestrian-friendly streetscapes to attract residents and tourists who will support local businesses. Attract new industries, collaborate with nearby counties or economic development organizations to market the town as a location for light manufacturing, small-scale research and development, or distribution centers. Emphasize the town's affordability and charm to attract businesses looking for cost-effective locations. Create a local outreach program to connect Alice households with various assistance programs, including financial literacy workshops, job training, childcare services, food assistance, healthcare access, transportation support, and other available resources. Connect members of Alice families to scholarship funds to pursue training and startup grants or loans for launching small businesses.
Well, Seton Center does that number 6 already.
That's what I was gonna, yeah.
So how about support?
Mm-hmm.
How about support and encourage
Mhm.
local outreach programs?
So you would like me to change number 6 to maybe continue to support local
Mhm.
outreach? Okay.
That's a good point.
Continue to support local outreach programs that connect Alice households.
Would we be so bold for number 2 to encourage participation in Main Street Maryland's programs? As their sort of a built-in state program. They require funding. That's the one side. They're a non-government organization, sort of, but they tend to enhance quality of life, and they really do a strong job bringing tourism.
What is this? Main Street.
Main Street Maryland.
Okay.
And the downside is it's a non-government organization, sort of. It's a quasi state of Maryland thing, but you would have a separate entity that's managed by a person outside of the town office, and their function basically is to manage events, manage activity, also be an ambassador for the community, do some outreach. But their piece of the puzzle is when someone's looking at the town and they're considering, a development or a business or an entrepreneurship, they're kind of an outreach. They're part of that outreach. Like the town says, oh yeah, we'd love to see you. And then you bring to that conversation that Main Street Maryland person.
Mhm.
But at the same time, they tap into the resources for the advertising that they have. And these ads go regionally and they go nationally, like they'll go East Coast, they'll go full country. Things like this from Main Street Maryland would pop up in, for example, like Southern Living, or, they hit a different demographic based on what the target is.
Mhm.
But they have the collective funds to do this sort of thing. It's sort of like, it's not quite a chamber of commerce, but it promotes the local businesses.
That's
So-
what Vicky Grinder does with Thermont, right?
Correct, exactly right. And I think that would be pretty useful for us if we were to encourage that participation in that. It's not a perfect system, but I think it's a very good system. She does an excellent job. I mean, if we could have someone like that, or even her here.
Yeah, are we a full-time? Do we need that full-time, or could it be a
I think it would be valuable
Pittsburgh Thermont partnership?
because we're competing against one another in
Yeah.
one sense. But yeah, but I think we would do it full time.
Yeah.
And then that's an expense, but
Right.
part of it comes from the business community, part of it comes from town government.
So part of it comes from the business community. So that requires additional revenue from small businesses?
Yeah.
Okay,
But, it's one of those, you got to pay to play kind of things. Like you
Yeah.
throw money out and it comes back and more comes back.
so is that a required, like an implemented cost to businesses somehow?
That's a good question. And I don't know. I believe so, yes,
Mhm.
but I can't give you an answer with certainty.
Okay. Yeah, it would probably be useful to know what kind of cost that looks like. Because I know one of our goals is to incentivize small businesses. I
Mhm.
can't imagine that making them pay more to be here.
No, I don't think we would have to get them to pay more, but if they put $100 toward this,
Mhm.
that might be a reasonable cost depending on the nature of the startup or the
Right.
small business.
It's probably worth looking into.
So maybe encouraging, how about we suggest investigating Main Street Maryland,
Mhm,
or investigate participating in Main Street Maryland,
mhm.
Okay.
unless we're there
So-
already.
Sorry.
Sure.
So we are a Main Street affiliate right
Right,
now.
which is the part-time.
Yeah, and at the last Board of Commissioners meeting, there was a presentation on Main Street General from our town's operations specialist.
Mhm, mhm.
And the discussion, like she talked about the challenges of being a full-time Main Street, or fully designated Main Street. And the board, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, just they said they would like to hold off on trying to pursue that goal for now because of the challenges that were presented. So I don't know if that changes anything you would like to.
I would still say put it here to keep it in the field growing, like seed that field.
Okay,
So there's an institutional memory that, hey, go back to it, and maybe,
okay,
unless there's some flaw in it. And again, I don't have to figure
right. I mean, if we have more development, like housing development
Right.
down the future, then yeah, makes sense, but or maybe not. Yeah,
So it's in the wind.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to.
Okay. Yeah, we do have the Main Street affiliation paragraph here. So definitely is the thing. Emmitsburg is currently a Main Street affiliate with the goal of achieving full designation. 4-6.
I just wasted 7 minutes. I'll own that.
Also, I have two more things that are related to housing, but I thought I'd let you know just so
Mhm.
you have that
Back to
information.
3.
Yeah, sorry about that. So that Hobbs House across the ice cream shop, I guess, I believe it was sold to a tax sale. And the rental registration, well, that discussion will be on the Board of Commissioners agenda the next meeting, so just throw that out there.
Movement,
Yeah, it's out there.
long process, but tax sale. That's it, right?
Anybody have anything on 4 before we move along?
Nope.
Okay. 5, environment and natural resources. Any comments on the body of the chapter before we talk about strategies and goals?
I'm gonna be the trail nerd. I'll be the trail nerd. I'm on page 5, chapter 5, page 2. In surface waters and stream buffers, recreation gets mentioned there, so I want to round it out by adding trail running and mountain biking to the activities offered by Rainbow Lake, because I think that adds substance, and that's it.
So also offers recreational opportunities such as fishing, hiking, trail running, and mountain biking in the surrounding area.
Correct.
Okay. Really? Okay. Stop here. Anything in 5, Dan?
No.
No,
Nope.
either Dale. All right. Goals and objectives for environment and natural resources. Safeguard natural resources and water systems to ensure long-term ecological integrity by minimizing the environmental impact of development on these vital ecosystems. Ensure new development aligns with the town's natural landscape and minimizes environmental impact. Enhance climate resilience in infrastructure and planning, increase public awareness of environmental issues, and fostering community stewardship of natural resources and sustainable practices. Strategies. Periodically evaluate the buffer zones around Flat Run, Tom's Creek, and other wetlands to ensure the maintenance and enhancement of healthy vegetative buffers where necessary. Create and implement a water conservation program that provides incentives for rainwater harvesting, water efficient landscaping, and the installation of rain gardens in residential areas. Develop and implement a native tree planting program to improve water retention and boost biodiversity. Establish design guidelines for developments that protect scenic views of the Catoctin Mountains and Piedmont Valley, encouraging projects that blend with the natural environment while preserving key sightlines. Revise zoning ordinances to promote compact, low-impact developments and incorporate climate resilient building standards. Launch a community-wide environmental stewardship program that includes volunteer opportunities for stream cleanups, tree planting, and host educational workshops on sustainable gardening, water conservation, and green building techniques, targeting homeowners and businesses in Emmitsburg to increase the adoption of sustainable practices. Partner with local schools and conservation organizations to develop hands-on environmental education programs, including outdoor learning activities around the town's natural resources such as Rainbow Lake, Tom's Creek, and the Catoctin Mountains. I don't have anything to add there. I think they're all good.
Is it necessary to put the word "and" there? Because the next line stands by itself.
Number 6, is that where you are?
Yeah, at the end we got "and."
I can scratch that.
Distraction, good. Knew it was someplace I'd seen an earlier day.
Or was that a word missing?
Change it from a comma to a period.
I don't think so.
So it would just be stream cleanups and tree planting,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a comma. Well, if we do all those things, it'll be pretty good.
So here's a question. Bringing the Parks and Recreation component to it. Would there be value in number 8 to adding the word mid-sentence starting with environmental education programs? So how about including outdoor learning and recreational activities? Just to kind of,
Mhm.
you can learn here and you can have fun here.
Right.
Is that acceptable to the board?
Yeah, I think that's acceptable. Anybody else have anything on environment and natural resources?
Well,
Number 6, land use and community design. Comments on the body of the chapter. The new proposed growth boundary, flexible growth boundary, is this the first time that the board is going to be introduced to this idea?
They got a presentation sometime last year. I can't remember which month. I think it was November.
Okay,
So this is not the first time.
it's not new.
No.
Okay.
But we'll have to coordinate with the county too, so it will be new to the county.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay,
The board may have voted to accept that language, in fact.
did
I
that.
have a vague recollection of that.
Okay.
can I ask one favor of you? Would it be too much trouble if you put a total acres down here, another line?
What page are you on?
On 6.2. Give you an idea what the total acres you're covering? I assume that's acreage in there, right? Each one of those categories.
That's right, yeah.
Is it possible to put another line that says a total?
It's on the table there. Oh, the total you want, total you want, okay.
6.2 I'm on.
There's no total, you're just not total of it because the numbers are there.
Table 6-1, right?
Yes,
So 6-1, you want to add the total.
I just thought it'd be convenient, gives an idea, gives everybody looking at it an idea what we're dealing with. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And all this is gonna be in color, right?
For formatting. Maybe there's wisdom in having the maps. With them, and not the map full scale, so if you have to go landscape, that's fine. I would suggest just because it will add to its usability.
Right.
When you're looking at this compressed thing, even though it's color, it will be color coded. When it's complete color. It might be difficult in discerning some of the other.
What did we talk about with so we had a few discussions on the layout
Yeah.
with landscape and portrait
um,
orientation.
Yeah, I think you said charts or maps should be on landscape and then
Okay,
rest of it portrait
so we did decide that landscape was appropriate for the graphics.
graphics. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have anything on the body of this chapter?
No,
So the goals and objectives of land use and community design would be to promote smart growth and sustainable development by encouraging infill development and efficient use of land within the growth boundary and growth opportunity areas. Continue efforts to preserve and enhance the character of Emmitsburg by protecting the integrity of the historic district and key structures, enhance connectivity and public spaces to create pedestrian-friendly, well-connected community while ensuring accessible parking and accommodations for individuals with mobility challenges.
it's me.
Yeah, do you guys have any input on that?
No, I said I'm the one that's got mobility
Yeah.
problems
Right,
or challenges.
so it would be a first
Yeah,
hand.
long enough, yeah.
Strategies to attaining these goals, identify vacant or underutilized parcels for redevelopment, streamlined approval processes for mixed-use projects, and promote the adaptive reuse of existing buildings. Encourage zoning that supports green infrastructure projects, i.e. rain gardens and permeable pavements to manage stormwater runoff and energy-efficient buildings. Leverage growth boundaries and growth opportunity areas to guide development, promoting a diverse mix of housing types and strategically clustering buildings to reduce environmental impact and optimize land use. Implement a comprehensive Main Street revitalization program to meet the requirements of Main Street designation. Use zoning regulations and design review processes to restrict incompatible land uses your historic areas while encouraging mixed use development that preserves the small town character and accommodates growth. Continue to add to the sidewalk networks to connect all areas and develop traffic calming measures to ensure safety of pedestrians and bikers. continue revitalization efforts and add elements like seating, landscaping, and public art to create an inviting space. Implement a comprehensive parking plan that includes designated parking areas, improve signage, efficient use of shared spaces, while exploring opportunities for structured or off-street parking to minimize congestion and enhance accessibility in key areas like the town center. Is the strategy, so number 4 on page 613, implement comprehensive Main Street revitalization program. Is this complementing or is it in competition with the previous chapter with Main Street affiliation, which should be 4? You think that these things align in both of these chapters in terms of our goals with Main Street?
I believe so. The only thing I can think of is that, it's being repeated again, so maybe I could scratch that because it's mentioned somewhere else.
I don't think it hurts that it's in 2 different places. I just don't want it to be conflicting in any
Okay.
way. Like they read it in chapter 4,
Yeah. It sounds like it's complimenting it because it actually does fall into both categories.
right? And then both of them are number 4 strategies in both chapters, and they do both talk about implementing the program to,
Right.
yeah.
Well, if you stress it enough, maybe it'll get implemented.
Yeah, they both talk about implementation, so they're both on the same trajectory with Main Street.
Catch up to you, sorry. I did not catch up to you when you used the term bikers. And I don't know where that is, but could I ask that the word cyclist gets substituted? Just to meet the state piece, so. Yeah, I'm a trail nerd.
Where was that?
If I misheard it, then forgive me. But that's it. That's all I have for any comments on this. Beyond that. Oh,
That's-
one other thing, actually. I'm sorry, forgive me. Is there a mention of, or is there a need for mention of, was it Keith Curtis who created the vernacular study of architecture on Main Street? He created a guideline. Is that plugged in here anywhere? That there's like a reference to it for future development?
Yeah, I think that's something that says like continue to enforce that architectural guideline or something like that.
Terrific. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I can't remember where exactly I put it, but I did.
I have faith it's there. Don't worry. If you say it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
You guys have anything?
No,
Strategies? Chapter 7,
no.
transportation. Any comments on the body of transportation?
Couple quick things. I'm on chapter 7, page 3.
Mhm.
There's a request for a comprehensive parking, sorry. I'm on chapter 7, section 3. There's the comprehensive parking study request. And I'm wondering, do we have that done already? I thought we'd seen something in the past 3 years, pardon me, the town commission had seen something, I had thought, in the past 3 years where we talked about parking sheds. And there were graphics comparing, for example, a Walmart parking lot with a focal point, and then it was compared to the parking shed of the town. And I think this was requested by Commissioner Ritz, maybe. And I think the outcome of that conversation was a strong desire to see improved wayfinding signage and to prioritize locations where parking could be either improved or could be created. So I think there might be an existing study. So maybe that will help regarding this piece. A second thing regarding alternate transportation. My hope is perhaps in a future time, the town can link to the university with a pedestrian path. That link can also go to the forthcoming North County Regional Park. And in time, that might connect us to Thermont, because I know they want to come north. And in a perfect world, we would connect to Gettysburg, just linking to Frederick to the canal. But these pieces, I think there'd be value because they're town specific. They might, I would think they would enhance the alternate transportation component.
Well, eventually that'll be connected to Frederick, because Frederick's trying to get it out to Walkersville now.
Correct,
Mhm.
Talking about putting over for the highway
correct.
bridge.
They've, I sat on the bicycle and pedestrian advisory board a while ago. And they're moving forward on paralleling the Walkersville Railroad in places. There is a setup for the overpass, pedestrian overpass, as you described. And there's actually some linkages where on the, for lack of a better term, Clemson's Corner, the Wegmans property, there's some linkages built in there that they have. So in a perfect world, yeah, it would be great if we could, because if you look at the money that gets spent on the Great Allegheny Passage and the amount of visitors, if you had people coming off of the canal riding from here to Gettysburg, there'd be a significant amount of spending. And, you know, that's a nice thought. So,
Well, not to be detrimental, but the transit service of Frederick County is not that great a service. They show up at 7:00.
Mhm.
How many older people get up at 7:00 in the morning?
right.
I do occasionally. But you gotta be out at the front door at 7:00 and they take you to Frederick and you gotta stay in Frederick till 5:00.
Yeah.
Now, there's supposed to be a taxi service where you can utilize. I don't know that much about it.
Like if you get to Frederick, there's a taxi service to bring you back, so you don't have to wait till 5 or
No, there's actually service that you can utilize right here in
a
Emmitsburg.
taxi. Okay.
But the last time I heard it was $48
Oh,
one way, isn't it?
No, well,
Or is it a round trip?
no, but that program is requires, there are requirements for it.
Is
Yeah.
it specific to,
But they give you $100 a month, 110, 120, I forgot what it was now. For taxi,
Mhm.
which is part of the transit system, transit's picking that up.
okay.
Transit gives you a card that you can, they can charge it against it. But it's $48 one way from Frederick.
It's
there.
$48 one way to Frederick.
And don't you have to ride the transit for a couple months before you qualify for that?
Only 3 times technically.
Oh, 3 times.
that's a hard threshold, though, all things considered.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
But again, you gotta
24
be
hours in
qualified.
Frederick
It's
City.
not encouraging you.
Yeah. So maybe there's value in identifying what the ride resources are for the community.
Okay.
In addition to transit services.
Well,
Is there also value in encouraging transit services to be more present in the North County?
Or in
And
the
what
North-
that, I mean, obviously, it's probably a financial thing for them, like what would it take for them to be more present in the North County? Do we need more people riding it? Like what are the barriers to our lack of transit services up here? So goals and objectives for transportation are reduce traffic congestion on Main Street by establishing an alternate route that will decrease reliance on the main thoroughfare and enhance overall downtown experience. Promote the development of alternate transportation modes, include walking, cycling, rideshare services to create more connected, accessible, and sustainable transportation system. Address the lack of adequate parking in downtown Emmitsburg to support local businesses and improve accessibility for customers and visitors.
Wasn't there years ago an alternate route they were proposing to go around Emmitsburg?
Mhm.
Whatever happened to that? I guess it fell through. No money.
Still in.
So the discussions about the bypass have kind of gone back and forth between this board and the town commission. The variable in the equation is, well, there are a number of them, but one was design. Where was it to go? And there are private landowners who aren't willing to see that happen on their property, so that would cut it off. If there were a bypass to bring trucks off the highway, and let's say all property owners agreed, it would take them out South Seaton Avenue, and they would have to go down 15, make a U-turn, and return to 140 if they were going to Baltimore. So the bypass would not meet their needs so far. Newer thinking, if I'm not mistaken, has been if there's development that's annexed to the town from Annandale Road and Mountain View Road, there would be some road access there that would bring traffic from that direction, but I don't know if it would be more directly connected to, or I guess 140/16 to the Pennsylvania line. A big argument against it was, why does the town need to pay for it when it's servicing Pennsylvania? Then that brought up the ha-ha of we should have a toll road, and it usually peters out about there. So that's the conversations that I've seen regarding that. But if an annexation does occur to the property over here, there would be some additional mobility through that neighborhood, like a collector road or something. And the possibility might be that it would bring a link to divide Community Park here between one field and the newer parking area. So, and I believe folks from Southgate had strong opinions about that, many against. So that's the last I have to share that I can think of.
Don't sound like it's going anywhere.
I don't think a bypass, but I'm pretty sure in time we'll probably see collector roads, if I'm using the terminology correctly.
Strategies for transportation. Work with State Highway Administration to conduct traffic study to identify potential roads that can service alternate routes. Fill the gaps in sidewalk infrastructure to provide safe, continuous routes for pedestrians. Explore options for bike lanes to improve connectivity within the town, especially on the west side of Catoctin Mountain Highway. Collect data on commuter patterns to demonstrate the demand for rideshare services and use this information to present to rideshare companies or develop community-based rideshare initiatives. Identify underutilized or vacant land in downtown area that can be converted into public parking lots, offer additional spaces for visitors and customers to park conveniently close to businesses, implement time-restricted parking in high-demand areas such as Main Street to encourage short-term parking and frequent turnover, ensuring more customers have access to parking throughout the day. Collaborate with local property owners to establish shared parking arrangements utilizing unused spaces from businesses, churches, or institutions to maximize resources without new construction. I would say number 4, if that could somehow also include not only rideshare services, but county transportation services. Anybody have anything else? transportation?
Perhaps consider for line one, work with State Highway, Frederick County, and maybe Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. I know that that's a hazy gray area, but for thought. I mean, if one wants to expedite traffic to the highway and get to Pennsylvania more quickly, what if Pennsylvania put it one more exit up? And that would go
Beyond downtown?
north of us,
Mm-hmm.
a thought.
Yeah. That is an idea. Was it also mentioned at one meeting, connectivity between the rest area and downtown? Making that connection between our service area off of 15 to the downtown area instead of them getting back on 15 to then get off again? Do we talk about
Totally
that?
blanking out, totally.
I feel like that was suggested by somebody at some point. I don't know if that goes into transportation or.
So give them a confusing road to capture the dollar. Sounds very southern.
Get to McDonald's easier.
Yes.
All right, 8, community facilities. Are there any comments on the body of community facilities?
Yes.
Okay.
Section 8, page, I don't know if 2 is appropriate, 2 or public schools, no, 8.1. My hope would be to see some language to expedite the rebuilding of Emmitsburg Elementary into a school with walls to create a safer structure, and to rebuild the Catoctin High School to bring it to a similar quality to newer high schools in the county that have windows for the students to look out of, among other things.
Where would you like me to put that?
Do you think that that becomes a goal and objective?
I think that'd be a good fit, yes. So with goals and objectives,
Add that to goals and objectives. Yeah, I mean, at 95% capacity at the elementary school, development is kind of a moot point if we don't have more school capacity.
Right. I honestly know people who have looked at our community, they've looked at the schools and said, we're not going to live there because of those schools.
Mm.
And, you know, it's not because of the population, but because of the actual physical plant.
Facility.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You do have something in there about, well, the Seton School. But I wonder if we could have a chart that tells us what the capacity is, just like the others is, the other schools.
Yes, that is something I'll be getting from Mother Seton, and I'll add that. I'll add that.
And, I mean, we don't know what their capacity is or whether they're full up and extra. Some people will build here just because they got a Catholic school. They want their kids to go to Catholic school. So when you get a additional 10 kids in there, maybe 5 of them are going to Catholic schools, so it won't affect the public school as much. Just a thought. Wonder if we could put a chart in there right around where we got the private institution of the Seton School, telling you what their capacity is some way. All right, thank you.
Now under healthcare facilities, were we going to include the Doctor's office on Main Street too,
Yeah.
as well. Okay. In public assistance, is this also a place to add the housing communities, Lincoln on the Park, and Daughters of Charity? Okay.
For page 3 of chapter 8, for the E. Eugene Myers Community Park amenities, I would suggest we consider adding the disc golf course. I don't know if it's there.
I thought I added it. so
Okay.
I have just,
Okay,
Yeah.
if I missed it, I'm sorry.
No, no,
I'm not
you-
seeing it yet.
I forgot to add it. I was going to.
And
Okay.
I would also ask to consider adding multiple rectangular athletic fields. Now that we have youth soccer there, maybe we would encourage like field hockey or other, sevens, things like that. And board member, thank you very much for voting for that. That was great.
Should we add the dog park in there as well too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The thing about the dog park is it also brings people off the highway.
Mhm.
I mean, literally, people will make a rest stop in town, hit the dog park, and then they'll roll over to like Pizza Hut, like literally.
Mhm.
It's mind blowing how much that's pulled in folks. Okay, last item, let me double check. Yes, page 8-4, chapter 8, page 4, forgive me. There are 4 loops or 4 looped trails and 1 out and back. So you have purple, yellow, green, red, and then the orange is an out and back trail. So you actually have 4 looped trails.
Oh.
Just, and I'll offer that. I know people look for that, so that would be great. More is better to attract visitors. I know that for a fact.
Dan or Dale, do you see anything in community facilities
Not so far.
that should be added?
I don't wait through yet.
Say Dr. Thomas's office, right? On Main Street. Yeah, okay.
Oh. I got a question under on 8-9. Water from the treatment plant is stored in 2 tanks and ready for consumption by the town. That's under wastewater system. Does that belong there? Why wouldn't it be under water?
What page are you on?
Oh, I see.
8-9.
Okay,
See the second paragraph under wastewater system.
Talking about the treatment center.
Says water from treatment plant is stored in and is ready for consumption. Are we drinking wastewater now?
No, it's processed. The treatment center filters the water,
yeah,
cleans the crap out of it,
But why is it under wastewater when it,
because that's what treatment center is. It inputs wastewater, and splits it, cleans it up. become reusable drinking water.
We are, huh? It's news to me.
I don't think we're cycling it back into the town, but the cleanliness standard of the water, it could be consumed, but I don't believe that we're recycling it at this time.
Okay.
Maybe we get
That's not a
clarification.
question we were, but I may
Right.
be wrong.
Maybe we get clarification on this. The consumption, and I'm going to a real hypothetical. I could see Vigilant Hose going over there if there was a need to pull off of a reserve
Yeah,
and utilize that. But beyond that, and that's purely hypothetical. So I don't have an answer for that. I think they would go to a reservoir and draw from that.
it says right there,
No, you're
delivering
right.
water
So-
to customers.
Yeah, this is a section that I gotta clarify with the water and sewer department,
course,
so
yeah.
that whole section, so I can just,
It's their language.
what?
It's their language. Like this is what they submitted to you, you're saying?
They did, but I think I misinterpreted what
Okay.
they said, so,
So maybe just we
Yeah.
clarify that and we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
okay.
See what I did there? Clarified it.
You know,
Where do we
we're
think it
talking in the
belongs?
future too, so.
Where do you
Remember-
think it belongs?
Sorry?
Where do you think it belongs? You don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. I just thought it was ironic.
All right,
Okay.
goals and objectives for community facilities, strengthen collaboration between local educational institutions and the community. Ensure public safety and emergency services are adequate for the current and growing population. Enhance support for vulnerable populations by strengthening community services. Ensure a sustainable and efficient water system to support current and future growth. Strategies, collaborate with Mount St. Mary's to establish an early childhood education program that provides employment opportunities for university students while offering valuable services to Emmitsburg residents. Conduct a needs assessment to identify gaps in staffing and equipment, and then secure funding through grants or partnerships to enhance emergency response capabilities. Launch an educational campaign and incentive program to encourage residents and businesses to engage in tree planting, install energy efficient systems, and participate in local recycling and composting efforts. Partner with local nonprofits and organizations to increase funding, volunteers, and outreach efforts for programs like food bank and child care services. Conduct a comprehensive water system capacity assessment to identify current infrastructure limitations and future demands. Secure grants and partnerships to fund the expansion of water treatment facilities, upgrade distribution networks. And you were gonna add role of building a new Emmitsburg Elementary, correct?
Catoctin High School.
And Catoctin High School.
Under strategies, right?
Goal.
Number 7 or number.
Strategies or goals?
It would,
Sounds like a goal thing.
so the goal would be to ensure school capacity for potential future growth and ensure the, ensure the,
Ensure a quality academic environment related to school structures, school buildings.
yeah, something to that effect. Quality of the environment of schooling and capacity would be the goal.
And then
And
the
it's-
strategy would be the
Work with Frederick counties to secure,
encourage Frederick County to create or to build both, build one in school.
Prioritize. Can't say the word.
prioritize.
Yes, that's it.
Like that.
Yeah, work with Frederick County to prioritize and secure funding for,
Same.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so here's a radical consideration that might not be so radical. The university is, the university enjoys an abundance of well water. They have a significant capacity that they aren't tapping into. Many years ago in a conversation or 3, there was discussion of creating a regional water authority with the university. Now we do at times share water with them. We pull water from their system to keep it available to us. should we have a catastrophic event that we need to do so. But maybe taking a longer view. Now, the upside would be we would formalize and expand that relationship. The downside, the negative to it would be we might lose some of our water production autonomy, but it depends on how you modify, how you create the language of the program.
Mhm.
So would we want to add that as just sort of something to investigate for the long term of the community?
We know right now we're not drawing it
Correct,
since July
correct. The
because of forever
forever
chemicals
forever
around.
chems are there, yeah. But I also know that the university
Well, they're
is
working on that.
pretty rigorously getting after that.
Mhm.
So would that be something we want to include in the language? Just as sort of seeding the idea again, that notion of putting it out there for a future consideration.
Mhm.
So
So would that be an additional strategy? Because we have a goal to ensure sustainable and efficient water system to support current and future growth,
yes,
which that would be a strategy to attain that goal.
yes.
Okay.
And hypothetically, it might reduce our expenses.
That would be a plus.
Yeah.
9, municipal growth. Thank you guys for hanging in here. Yeah, this is a longer one. Any comments on the body of municipal growth?
Chapter 9, page 7. I'm looking at school capacity. Is there value for repeating the message to drive it home about rebuilding, reconstructing the 2 schools?
Yeah, if it's, yeah.
Okay, and the second one, that would be, sorry, am I going? Okay. Chapter 9, page 9, under Parks and Recreation. Accessibility to recreation is important for communities. I would argue that we have the opportunity to bring trails closer to the town. We have the Scott Road Farm, and that would ultimately allow us potentially with maybe future development to link to community park. And that would also be a economic bonus. People come, they visit, they park there, they ride, they return, they hit the pool, they go to pizza. But a trend in the trail community is trails outside your front door. So you literally walk out your front door and you have trail accessibility. Southgate has that. They have the community park loop. It would be nice if perhaps we could enhance that and expand that in some way or another. And I can't answer that question with like, how do we do that? But bringing the trails, the multi-user trails closer to town, developing more trails between here and there would definitely be valuable. So that's it. Thank you. And the next Parks and Rec meeting, I'll bring this question to them and ask them if there are gaps that I'm missing in other areas. So.
Dan or Dale, any comments?
I got a question. You got the reservoir 1 and 2. I didn't know we had more reservoirs.
So Rainbow Lake is, I believe, Reservoir 1. It's
Yeah.
obviously larger, many acres. If you travel down toward town on Hampton Valley Road with Rainbow Lake on your left, so you're continuing down toward Crystal Fountain Road, above Crystal Fountain Road, there is what looks like a town service road. You'll see a triangle on a gate there or a chain there. And beyond that, there is like a 2 or 3 acre reservoir, if that much.
Hmm.
And that's a second reservoir. I don't know that we draw from it much, but it's sort of like an emergency reservoir, if I understand it correctly. But that had been the original water company. I think that was their original reservoir when the town was smaller and water was provided privately.
And it says wells J and 7. I knew we had 7. I only knew of 1, 2, 3, and 4, I thought. I don't know where these others are at. But they do exist.
Mhm.
Okay. Just wondered.
Those are the secret wells? No. It's a bad joke. I'm tired. Forgive me. Okay, that's another minute I owe you.
So,
Goals and objectives for municipal growth, address the critical need to expand water supply and sewer capacity to support anticipated residential and non-residential developments. Collaborate with Frederick County Public Schools to monitor and address school capacity challenges. Focus on creating parks and green spaces that meet the requirements of the town code and promote public and environmental health benefits. Should number 2 be collaborate with Frederick County Public Schools to essentially move forward with building, not monitoring?
So to expedite renovating the 2 schools, is that, yeah, I think that would be,
you talking about renovating or building a new one?
it's a great question.
This part of the county's always been cheated.
Rebuild, let's go for it. Let's push the issue.
Yeah, big goals.
Yep.
I know. I went to the school over here. Or right here, I mean.
Yeah, you're here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Strategies, develop additional water sources, explore options for activating wells J and 7, find necessary infrastructure such as the Emmett Gardens water treatment plant, explore opportunities to upgrade and rehabilitate existing reservoirs to increase capacity. Collaborate with developers, require developers to invest in infrastructure expansion as part of their development plans. Work to secure funding for infrastructure projects, continue to pursue grants and loans from state and federal programs to fund water and sewer improvements. Engage with Frederick County Public Schools and other entities to expand school facilities. Was there going to be more words after that? No, okay.
Do you want to be more specific and say to rebuild Emmitsburg Elementary School and rebuild Catoctin High School? Just make it clear as day what we're talking about, so there's no gray area.
Yeah. Expand could be a lot. We could
Yeah.
send you 10 trailers.
I teach in a trip. You just got right here.
It's funny because it's true.
That's correct.
Anything?
No,
Goals and strategies, good.
no. Okay.
And 10, implementation. Um, 10.2. Housing strategies, short-term and long-term action steps.
Commissioner,
Yeah,
it's still under like,
are you still working on that?
yeah,
Okay, so we won't
so it's up to you.
chop it up.
You can totally chop it up if you want. That's
No,
totally
if you're
fine.
still working on it, then we'll give you the opportunity to
Okay.
continue. Yeah, we've gone over a lot tonight, so yeah. Gone over a lot. Okay. So this then goes to the board on the 3rd.
Yeah, they're gonna see it and I'll make the changes that were suggested tonight. And I'll also contact the county or send them.
So what about 10 then, if that's not
Um,
totally done, will it not be totally done for the third or,
it won't be done for the third, for
Okay.
sure, yeah.
all right,
But I can get with Kathy to get like establish a timeline. And
okay,
yeah.
gotcha, okay.
You're gonna be able to hand, keep the board, arm's length, won't be able to get the report done, right?
Yeah.
Much to do. Sorry, I had mine on. I said there's too much to do, right?
All right, does anybody have any additional comments on this? Does anybody in the public want to say anything about the comprehensive update? We could have done this like an hour ago. Eric.
No, but I think it's actually helps actually to hear your discussion because then it limits what I have to say. Just a couple things, and I won't belabor it, and I'll certainly can send it to Najila, and you can discuss at your next meeting. It was good discussion on a number of things. I would suggest in chapter 6, you have the floating zone discussion, but it's absent the PUD, and we have it in the zoning ordinance, but we don't actually have a PUD developed. So just a description, and then on the 613 to strategy, perhaps just something that we actually say, develop the PUD floating zone to implement the flexible and creative land use as envisioned throughout the comp plan. I will get that to Najila so you guys can have it next time, but just a thought there as you were going through it.
Mhm.
And then finally, didn't really go through it, but on the tables, as discussed, I did work with Najila to help clean that up. And since you didn't have any questions, hopefully what we were able to put together was clear. We tried to make it clean in terms of permitted density. Remember that whole discussion, which means that's kind of truly what the zoning allows. And then it's probable density, and that is like the 75% of it, because you kind of know you're going to take it off for infrastructure, and there's always some some land that's not usable. So that's in the in those charts that we worked together and looked at some of the other ways that comp plans have been developed. And the only thing that I saw in Najila, and I'll get this to you, is the table on 9.5 just needs to be updated with the projected residential development demand is less than the 1393, which is good. That means the available taps are going to be better. So I will get those numbers over to Najila this week, but just running through just as a second set of eyes, it helps with the taps. The taps available for sewer goes up, and then the amount that we're in deficit for the water goes down. So it's all good. It's all positive. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you and good discussion.
Thanks, Eric.
All right.
Anybody else? All right, we have a motion.
Make a motion to close the meeting?
I'll second it.
All right, we are adjourned.
Aye.